This week's top stories: how buildings made from cannabis or hemp can change the world. Cannabis arrests down 46% since 2010 in the UK. Colorado gets a setback in their awesome movements with the GOP blunder on the 2016 presidential election. And the rigged race means Hillary takes more delegates in Bernie's Wyoming win. And the human rights group says U.S.-bound migrants face torture and other horrors in Mexico. And Chinese team uses Crispr to genetically modify human embryos. Also, top scientists warn that the cloning could lead to illegal black markets. Solar cells generating power from raindrops, and microbots that can clean up polluted water. I'm going to finish up with rage yoga, and what does that mean? Welcome to Drunken Yogi News. Shit to pay attention to.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war. I'll be very blunt.
Welcome back to another crazy week of news with Drunken Yogi. We're going to get right into it with Reset.me and their story on hempcrete, which is fantastic. Goes into how buildings made from cannabis or hemp can change the world. This is a good article. It goes through a lot of the different points of why hempcrete is actually better than concrete. And I like this quote here: with hemp's not illegal because marijuana is a drug. Marijuana is illegal because hemp is an oil. And that is about as true of a statement as you can get. Whenever it comes down to it, they made marijuana illegal to put a bad stigma and pass laws against the hemp plant so they wouldn't have to change over their huge, massive forests of trees to hemp once the decorticator was invented. All this stuff, if you don't know it, you need to look it up. And also go check out my new message to anti-pot people, explaining to them how, if they're still against cannabis, they are for suffering. But we are definitely starting to see a change in the zeitgeist of the world, especially in the West, with the cannabis arrests down 46% since 2010 from police figures in the UK. And this is freeing these police up to actually fight good, the crime that they should be fighting, against the criminals and not against people that are just trying to change their brain a little bit. So they say that it fell. That they're looking at legalizing it and the different arrests. Caution for possession fell from 9,633 to 5,036. People charged for possession dropped from 15,000 to 10,000. So this is a really good sign. Even though maybe you're in your area, it's not legal yet, a lot of places are starting to do a soft decriminalization where it's still on the books, but the cops just are not pushing as hard, which is not great. Kind of like Colorado right now. They got marijuana passed legal. Pretty sure that they can grow hemp in their state as well. But with election news, this is the big steal. This is where they're stealing the election, where they just forget about the popular vote and go with appointed officials from the Republican convention. Sounds official, right? Makes sense. That's how it works. Who said anything about a popular vote? So they're saying that because of the rules that they changed last summer, just when Trump started getting popular, they can now just say that the popular vote doesn't matter, and they can just go with whatever the party wants. And it says GOP leaders have never provided a satisfactory reason for foregoing a presidential preference poll. Although party chairman Steve House suggests on radio at one point that too many Republicans would otherwise flock to their local caucuses. So we've covered this before. They laugh on the news saying, there's no popular vote, you crazy people. And it's the same as in the Republicans and the Democrats with this article from the New York Post with rigged race means Hillary takes more delegates in Bernie's Wyoming win, even though he got more popular votes because she is part of the system. She is part of what's going to make everything keep rolling the way it's rolling right now. I do not like Bernie, but he's a lot better than Hillary Clinton, and the system doesn't quite like him on some of his views. So that is why they are making it really hard for him to win, because of the same type of rules where popular vote doesn't matter. Just listen to the officials and everything will be okay. That is not how I understood our country to work, and I think we can change it back to where the people matter in the democracy of our republic. Crazy enough. So everybody stay mad at Trump. That's the big key part that we need to remember, right? Because he doesn't like immigrants. He hates Mexicans. Well, it's kind of interesting to find out that human rights group says U.S.-bound migrants face torture and other horrors in Mexico. So Mexicans can come over here and work and not pay taxes and send a ton of money back to Mexico. But if someone from South America goes into Mexico, they are tortured to find out where other Mexicans or other illegal immigrants are hiding, and they get thrown into forced labor camps, according to this Business Insider article. With the human rights group on Tuesday said that U.S.-bound migrants passing through Mexico routinely face abuse, discrimination, and even torture. I don't remember Donald Trump saying anything about torture. But, you know, he's evil, even though the Mexican people have a border, have a country, and are actually pretty nasty with their immigration laws. And, speaking of laws, how they can change from one side of the world to the other, in this information world, we have to start re-understanding what a boundary borders are, because we might have rules against genetically modifying human embryos here, but just over the pond in China, I don't think that's the pond that they talk about, they are using CRISPR to genetically engineer human embryos. Doing any sort of genetic modification on human embryos is, of course, quite controversial. Most medical researchers believe that one day such practices will be common, but today, so much is still unknown regarding the consequences of the procedure, most of the world has decided to hold off on doing such research. Except for these guys. So what they did is took some eggs from a fertility clinic that they weren't going to be using and started chopping, splicing, seeing what they could do. Their conclusion comes to, this work has implications for development of therapeutic treatments of genetic disorders, and it demonstrates that significant technical issues remain to be addressed. We advocate preventing any application of genome editing in human genomes until the rigorous and thorough evaluation and discussion are undertaken by the global research and ethics communities, because we know scientific ethics are always what we should go with. And luckily I don't have to say that I think anymore, but I've got top scientists on my side with them saying, top scientist warns that cloning could lead to a legal black market? No fucking way. Who'd have thought that people are going to do something no matter what the laws say? Developments in cloning could lead to an illegal black market, a top scientist has warned. I really like this image that comes in here, little test tube babies. Kind of all these words and stories and CRISPR this and CRISPR that, and check out my CRISPR video. It really sums it up whenever you see a picture like this. While it remains illegal in most countries, including UK, scientists have reached a point where they are able to clone human embryos on a grand scale. However, it is legal for scientists to follow certain therapeutic cloning procedures if the sole purpose is to study cells. So if you're studying stuff, you can do it as long as you don't bring it to term, as long as you kill it before it becomes a person. But once it becomes a person, so obviously the ethics board has gone over this. the fucking crazy world we live in, and I don't think it's going to slow down. To turn to some better uplifting technology news, this is amazing. Solar cell generates power from raindrops. Solar power nemesis might become its friend. So that's the biggest thing, is whenever it's rainy, whenever it's gloomy out, you're not getting your energy, so you can't store enough to go through these things. So what this does is put a thin layer of graphene, which is this crazy new nano way that we can form carbons. It does this awesome, amazing stuff that blows our mind, like this. And what it does is, the catch is that the current technology isn't all that effective. It only converts about 6.5% of the energy it gets, which pales into the comparison to the 22% you will see in the world's better solar panels. But it was a couple years ago 6.5 in the solar panels. So that's obviously going to go up. But what they say is that the water actually sticks to the graphene, creating a sort of natural capacitor. The sharp difference in energy between the graphene electrons and the water's ions actually produces the electricity. So while I think this is super cool on top of a solar panel, I don't understand why this isn't being put on everything. If we can generate electricity just by having water flow over this material, this is amazing. Going to keep my graphene feelers out on the internet to bring you the best and most up-to-date technology that they are using with it, because this stuff's going to change the world. Speaking of changing the world, this is the type of stuff I want to see drones doing, and these are actually nano drones. We're going to go to sci.org for this one, with Microbots can clean up polluted water. And these little microbots are something else, that is for sure. These guys have 3 different layers in them. A new study, the researchers focused specifically on removing lead from wastewater by designing tube-shaped microbots with 3 functional layers. The outer layer is graphene oxide, absorbs the lead from the water. The middle layer, nickel, makes the microbot thermomagnetic so that their direction of motion can be controlled by an external magnetic field. The inner layer, platinum, gives the microbots the ability to self-propel themselves through the water. When hydrogen peroxide is added to the wastewater, the platinum decomposes the hydrogen peroxide into the water, and oxygen microbubbles, and injecting the microbubbles from the back of the microbot propels it forward. And we're going to go to that video now. These are pretty crazy little robots, am I right? And the craziest part is, when the microbots are finished absorbing the lead, the magnetic field can be used to collect them, all from the water. So they can change the magnetic field, bring them back in. Then the microbots are treated in an acidic solution to remove the lead ions, which can later be recovered and reused. Then the microbots can also be reused themselves. This is great. This is what drones should be doing. They shouldn't be bombing people. They should be cleaning up our mess. They should be making our planet better and more livable for everybody to hang out and enjoy themselves. And you can do that in many different ways. And we're going to finish up with a little health news with Rage Yoga, encourages posing while cursing, drinking, and listening to metal. This is my yoga most of the time, not so much metal. I don't like the sharpness, crassness of metal so much anymore, but you must know that you do not need to do yoga like you thought yoga was. Yoga is not something that is preconceived notions that you're putting on it. It is just a catalog of body positions which makes your body so much healthier. And
Sophie,
I want to get these
his
girls
13th
on.
birthday
They're in LA.
gift.
And they are out there running their Rage Yoga. That's an understandable sentiment. Some people just don't find the same kind of stress release in yoga as they do in, say, kickboxing. But with the new take and practice Rage Yoga, there may be more folks flocking to the fitness activity than ever before. Yes, rage yoga. I want to start wine yoga. Nice couple glasses of wine before it, gets you loosened up, and just be yourself and move the shit out of your body with your endocrine system and get those microbes in your stomach, your mitochondria working, and I will see you next time.